Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my storytime and drama channel and vlogging channel. So, I'm going to continue reading the book Stealing Home by Matt Christopher, and I'm up to chapter 4 right now. Yeah, we're up to chapter 4. We're up to chapter 4, and we're on page 30, so let's continue. 2 days later, on Thursday, another handwritten letter arrived from Jesus. Joey's dad handed it to him, and Joey tore it open and read the translation out loud. Dearest family, warmest greetings from Managua, my city. Dearest family, warmest greetings from Managua, my city. Here it is hot, and there has been much rain. On the other side of the city, there is a slide of mud and 10 houses are broken, with 25 people killed. Many times we have disasters here. Hurricanes, earthquakes. Before I was born, my family lost their house in a big earthquake. For 2 years, they lived in a tent before my uncle built them another house where I live. Here is a picture of me from 1 year ago in my house where we live now. It is a very nice house, I think, but maybe not nice like yours. My uncle says everyone in America is rich. My uncle says everyone in America is rich. Joey laughed and looked at his parents, and looking at his parents said, "Yeah, that's us. Rich. Ha." Joey's dad was a teacher at Bordertown High School, and his mom sold cosmetics to ladies at parties. They were far from rich, like some of the people in town. The Canelos, for instance, had a big mansion up on the hill, and the Alessandras forget it. Their house was like some big hotel. Pete sometimes had pool parties there, and it was always the big event of the summer. We're rich next to most people in the world, his dad said. But Jesus' family got up the money to send him here, Joey pointed out. But Jesus' family got up the money to send him here, Joey pointed out. They must not be too poor. Wrong, honey, his mom said. Most of the money is donated through local church groups and the Community Action Fund here in town. His family only pays a small percentage. Joey looked at the photo that Jesus had sent. It showed him standing in front of a cement house, more like a box, with windows and a corrugated tin roof. The box looked big enough for almost 2 good-sized rooms. Was that Jesus' family's house? Was that what he called big? Did he and his parents and sisters and brothers all live in that little concrete box? Joey had never thought of himself as rich before. It was a weird feeling. Suddenly he felt embarrassed at showing Jesus their house here in Bordentown. It was huge by comparison, maybe 5 times bigger. At the bottom of the photo, Jesus had written his name in bold print. Jesus Jaime Rodriguez. Jamie? Joey read. Hey, his middle name is Jamie, he said happily. Jamie would be an okay thing to call him. No problem there with his friends. Not like introducing him as Jesus, or even Jesus. His dad came over to look at the photo. See, Jamie? Joey pointed out. Only he spells it weird. Jaime. That's pronounced Jaime, his dad informed him. Jaime? Joey repeated, slumping into his chair. Jaime? Jaime was even worse than Jesus. Why can't I just call him Jamie? Joey asked. Because that's not his name, son, his dad said firmly. Look, Jesus' being here is not just for him to learn about us. It's for us to learn about him and his language and his culture. It's an opportunity for this whole town, not just our family. We ought to take advantage of it. Of course his dad was right, Joey knew. Still, that didn't solve his problem, or Jesus' for that matter. They're going to make fun of his name, Dad, he said. Why don't you let him decide what he wants to be called, his father suggested. I'm sure he'll be the best judge of that. I'm just trying to help him out. Good. You stick to helping him out. Remember that from now on, and as long as he's staying with us, he's your brother. Got it? Yes, Dad, Joey said, sighing. I've got it. My brother. Oh, brother, he thought. This had the potential to be a really long, bad year. Joey and his family spent Saturday morning getting the house ready, especially Sandy's room. His parents were already calling it Jesus' room, but Joey wasn't going to forget his real brother that easily. They fixed up Sandy's old 10-speed bike too, although Joey wondered whether Jesus even knew how to ride a bike. Did they even have bikes in Nicaragua? That afternoon was the Marlins' next game against the Cubs, who were 2-2 so far this season. One of the losses was to the Orioles, a team they'd beaten already, so most of the Marlins were going into the game with a lot of confidence. Most, but not Joey. The game started well, however. In the second inning, he dove and caught a fly ball, then threw out the overeager Cubs runner, who tried to advance to third without waiting to see whether Joey caught the ball. That little play ended the inning, and Joey got a lot of mid-slaps in the head and on his behind. Then in the third, he had a bloop fly ball that dropped in between three fielders. Joey wound up on second and scored the game's first run when Charlie Morgenstern hit a line to double to right field. Charlie later scored to make it 2-0 Marlins. But as he stood out in center during the third inning, Joey started to get nervous. Next inning, and for the rest of the game after that, he'd be pitching, and this time his whole team was expecting him to succeed. His whole team was expecting him to succeed. What if he lost his control and couldn't get the ball over the plate? What if he couldn't fool the Cubs hitters the way he'd fooled the Orioles? He knew he didn't have the stuff to blow the ball by anyone, and there was no backup for him if he failed. Center field, Gallagher, wake up! You suddenly heard Coach Pacino screaming. Joey came out of his trance, looked up, and saw the ball shooting into the outfield between him and Larry Levine, who was playing one of his rare innings in the left field. You got it, Larry yelled, shying away from the hard-hit grounder, lest it bounce up and hit him in the head. Joey raced to cut the ball off, lunged at the last minute, and snagged it in the webbing of his mitt. He rolled over in a somersault and came up throwing, holding the runner to a single. A whoop went up from the Marlins in the field and on the bench. But Joey knew he turned an easy play into a showboat play by not paying attention. Coach Pacino knew it too. He looked at Joey as he came back to the bench when the inning was over, shaking his head as if to say, "I don't know about you, kid." When he got up to pitch after the Marlins' turn at bat, the score was still 2-0 in his favor. All he had to do was keep the score right where it was. The good thing was he had an insurance run to work with. No pressure, not yet. Not until he walked the first batter he faced, and the second. "Come on," Pete Alessandro yelled through his catcher's mask. "What are you doing? Throw it in here, man." "Come on, Gallagher," Coach shouted, clapping his hands. He sounded more nervous than reassuring. Joey bit his lower lip and tried to concentrate on Pete's mitt. He threw a strike right over the middle. The batter just watched it. Obviously, the Cubs were going to look for walks until Joey proved he could put the ball over the plate. Joey threw another meatball, and again the batter just stood there. "Strike 2, the umpire yelled. Now with 2 strikes, Joey knew he had the batter where he wanted him. He threw the next pitch high and outside, and the batter swung wildly at it. "Strike 3, you're out," the umpire said, dramatically yanking his fist back to signal the call. Joey blew out a relieved breath. His heart was pounding so loud he could hear it reverberating in his ears, drowning out the cheers of his teammates. He started the next hitter off with a pitch down low, but it was too low, hitting the dirt in front of home plate and bouncing to the backstop over Pete's shoulder. By the time he retrieved it, the runners had moved up to second and third. Now a mere single would blow the entire lead. Joey bore down, staring in at the catcher's mitt. He reared back and threw a slow changeup. The hitter swung early, and Joey was up on the count 0-1. Next, he fired the ball as hard as he could, aiming shoulder high. The hitter, primed for the slow pitch, swung late. "Strike 2!" Joey threw his next pitch low and outside. The hitter reached for it and bounced it to the shortstop. Jordan picked it up, and seeing it was too late to prevent the run from coming in, he threw to first for the second out. Joey fanned the next batter to get out of the inning. But now he only had a 1-run lead. Neither team scored in the fifth, with Joey mowing down the bottom of the Cubs' order 1-2-3. Still, he wasn't celebrating yet. He knew he'd have to face the Cubs' best hitters in the 6th. Joey let off at bat at the top of the 6th, determined to score a run and give himself a bigger cushion. On the first pitch, he smacked a single to right. Then the right fielder bobbled the ball. Joey took off for second, went to a slide as the throw came in. He felt the tag hit his leg just before he touched the bag. "You're out," the umpire called. Joey was disgusted with himself for not making it to second. He threw his batting helmet on the ground, then snatched it back up and trotted off the field. "Good try, kid," Coach told him as he sat down on the bench. "It was the right play. We need the insurance run." But they didn't get it. And Joey took the mound with only the slimmest of margins to work with. He knew that if he got the first batter out, it would make things easier to give him the confidence he needed to make it through. So he tried to get ahead of him with a super slow changeup. Except this time the hitter was ready for it, slapping it over the shortstop's head for a single. Now the pressure was really on. Joey could feel it twisting his stomach in knots as he tried to concentrate on his next pitch, a fastball. The hitter made contact barely, and the ball skidded toward second base. Joey reached for it and grabbed it, but wasn't sure if he had to play at second or not. He hesitated for an instant, and then it was too late. He turned to first and threw, but the runner was already there. He didn't hear the moan that went up from the Marlins stands, the pounding in his ears. He didn't hear the moan that went up from the Marlins stands. The pounding in his ears was too loud, but he knew it was there. How could it not be? He screwed up badly, making a crucial error at the worst possible time. He forced himself to concentrate, to shut out everything but the catcher's mitt. The next batter was a huge hulk of a kid, and he was wiggling the bat around like he wanted to hit the ball all the way to China. Joey threw him a trio of slow, tantalizing pitches, some high, some low, and tied him up in knots, striking him out on 3 pitches. Next was a cleanup hitter, and Joey fooled him with the first pitch fastball right over the plate. "Come on, Gallagher, you can do it," Pete yelled from behind his catcher's mask. Joey reared back and fired a fastball high. The hitter popped it straight up. Pete threw off his mask and tried to get under it. Jordan came in from short, calling for the ball. But it was obvious Pete couldn't hear him or wasn't listening. Joey saw that they were going to run into each other. "I got it, he cried, and leaped up to grab the ball before the other two collided, but the ball glanced off the webbing of his mitt and skidded off into foul territory. Joey ran to get his runners screwed around the bases. Pete, unhurt thanks to Joey, headed back to the plate to make the play on the first runner coming in. Joey fired at him, off balance, and Pete caught the ball just as the Cubs runner slid to home. Pete applied the tag, but the runner's cleats knocked the ball out of his mitt. "Safe!" yelled the umpire as the ball dribbled toward the mound. Joey got up and ran to get it. "Safe!" yelled the umpire as the ball dribbled toward the mound. Joey got up and ran to get it. The second runner came around third and just kept going. Joey, his eyes on the runner, approaching home, reached down to pick up the ball and flip it to Pete, and his hand came up empty. Another error. "Safe!" screamed the umpire as the winning run crossed home. Cubs 3, Marlins 2. Their first loss of the season, and it was all Joey's fault. Okay, so that's chapter 4 of Stealing Home by Matt Christopher. So I thought it was a pretty good chapter, where we see, Joey getting prepared for Jesus to come to America, and we have the game between the Marlins and the Cubs, and the Marlins losing their first game of the season. So it's a lesson for Joey to learn, got to be careful what you're doing, got to stay concentrated and focus on the game. So yeah, that's pretty much chapter 4 of Stealing Home by Matt Christopher. Take care, everybody. Another video for my Storytime channel. Take care, everyone.